Now that we have variable definitions set up in our parent NPC object, we can go ahead and use a combination of those, as well as a step event and a new event called alarms, to control how our idle animations for our NPCs work and to make them a lot more interesting. So make sure you have obj_par NPC open, and in the events box, let's click add event and choose step and just the regular step event. You can add a description of any kind and just make a new line, and let's enter in some code. I'm going to put a title here, random loop timing, and we're going to put an if statement. So we're asking if the image speed is greater than 0. Now the image speed is a built-in variable that multiplies the FPS setting of a sprite. So if you recall, the idle sprite of our baker here has this setting called FPS. This is actually a multiplier. Over here, we're checking to see if the image speed of a sprite is actually greater than 0, which means if something is animating. And inside this, we're going to add another if statement. And this is going to check if the image index, which is actually the frame of animation, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 in this case, it's checking if it's the same as the image number, which is the total number of frames in an animation. Basically, this line says, am I at the last frame of my animation? And the first line says, am I still animating? Is this animation moving? If those things are true, we're going to do two quick things. We're going to set the image speed to 0, which means we're going to stop animating that sprite just for a moment. And then we're going to set an alarm. So we're going to write this code, and then we'll set up the alarm event right after. Alarm 0 equals So what's going on here? Well, as we explained before, anytime you have a function on the right side of an equal sign, it means we're doing something over here, and then we're storing that value in whatever is on the left of that equal sign. This is an alarm, which is an event that we're about to create. But what we're using here is a random range, and it says irandom range, which means it's an integer, meaning it's just a whole number. We created those variable definitions called loop range 1 and loop range 2, which by default were set to 30 and 240. So we are asking alarm 0 to be set to a random number in between loop range 1 and loop range 2. So in this case, between 30 and 240. So it will roll the dice and figure out what that number is going to be, and then it will set alarm 0 to that number. Below this code block, let's just add something else very simple. We've already done this one before. We're going to add depth sorting so that our NPCs correctly position themselves within that game world. It's the exact same code we wrote before for the environment objects and for our player.